Speaking of that though, the Lachie Neale thing, I am quite certain Lachie Neale will possibly get to Fremantle this off season.
Oh, I would love to see that. I love Fremantle.
Do you know why?
Mm.
You know who was the instigator behind this? Apparently, it was Lachie Neale's partner, mate.
Yeah,
And when a girl wants
I've heard
something,
that.
she usually gets it, mate.
The
He would
relationship
be
expert out here on the
he would
CHB
be in
podcast.
the doghouse for the rest of the year if he told her, "Nah, bitch, I want to stay in Brisbane." Nah, mate, no. That's not how it works, buddy. You're
Not
going to
happening.
Fremantle whether you want to or not, and that's why I think it gets done this off season.
Happy wife, happy life, eh?
And of course, Johnny Ralph isn't going to go on TV and be like, Lachie Neale's partner's grabbing his nuts. Like, it's not going to happen. But as a CHB podcast expert myself, I'm going to call it as it is. And if Lachie Neale's partner wants to go back home, Lachie Neale is going to Freo this offseason. So that leads me to ask you, if you don't think, so you're saying Dusty doesn't really get done, and if it does, Richmond get lowballed, right? Pretty obvious. Lachie Neale to Fremantle, is that a certainty if she wants to go? Does that get done this offseason?
Oh, well, if Neale decides that he wants to go, then he'll go. Obviously, you can't keep a player that's unhappy. I mean, teams have done it before, but they always get traded the very next season. And
which Neale are we
talking
talking about? The female Neale or the male Neale?
I'm talking about Lachie Neale.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, even if his hand gets forced, he still has to walk up to the front office and demand a trade.
Listen, man, my girlfriend said no sex for a couple months if you don't get me to Fremantle right now.
Oh man. I think it's a pretty similar situation with Dusty. I think they get a little bit more back just considering the circumstances. I mean, Dusty's had a personal tragedy. If he wants to go, he goes. He's done more for Richmond than Neale has for Fremantle. I think, Brisbane have a little bit more leverage there in regards to that, but I think overall it's a pretty similar situation. And Freo, it'd be gettable for them if he forced Brisbane's hand.
Yep. So if Brisbane declined pick 6, 8, they just declined pick 6 and 8 last off season, what gets it done this time?
Oh, if he actually decides he wants to go, it's maybe a first round pick, a young player, and a future pick.
So 2 first round picks and a young player.
Yeah, I reckon the difference between the Dusty and the Neale trades is an extra first round pick, obviously because of all the circumstances surrounding it and their different statuses within their clubs. I think it's an extra first round pick that gets it done. I don't think they can, like, if Neale actually demanded a trade this time, I don't think they're getting more than what they got offered last season. But obviously he's in insane form right now, so it would still be worth it just to have him for this season, especially if they win a flag or get to a grand final.
I also asked the question too, how much does Fremantle need Lachie Neale though?
Oh, they don't need him, but obviously any team would love to have him. I mean, they've got their midfield right now with Brayshaw, who's one of my favourite players in the comp and has been for a couple of years. I rate him very highly. Will Brody's been very, very, very good for them. Exceeded everyone's expectations. I think everyone thought he could be a solid player, but he's been pretty elite this year. And Sarong obviously has potential to grow and is already a solid player. They've used him in a sort of tagging role before, so he brings that little bit of versatility or diversity to the midfield. And then obviously you've got Fife coming back. They say he's going to play purely forward, but I don't buy it. He'll still be in the midfield a little bit.
Yeah.
They've got a great midfield as it is, but then you add Lachie Neale and that just becomes one of the pretty much the best mid-rotation apart from maybe Melbourne in the league.
Yeah, they need to fix their. I think they need to worry about their big man stock more than their midfielders because Rory Lobb will get his way to GWS this offseason. There's no hiding behind it. He really wanted to go to GWS last offseason. He wants to get back there. There was a rumor he would also be interested in going. It would just be the Northeast, which would, interestingly enough, be Brisbane and Gold Coast as well. Gold Coast don't slot into the conversation. We've just talked about Tex with them. They've already got Ben King, Levi Casbolt, Mac Andrew, Jared Witts. They're big men. They're fine. But Brisbane, though, where I'm kind of going is here, if it's a northeastern team that he wants to go to, but it's preferably GWS, does he have any spot in Brisbane's team? Like, how much extra value does he add? And could they maybe say, all right, well, we can take Lachie Neale off you, we'll do all this and that. Could Rory Lobb, though, get sent to Brisbane? Is that a thing that could get done?
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense if Lobb decided that Brisbane would be a good alternative to GWS if they couldn't get that done. He could be a part of that trade. I don't think he holds any value in that trade. I think he's purely just there to be part of the trade as a swap. I think they still give up the 2 first-round picks and the other young player. But
really?
Yeah, no, I don't think he holds much value in terms of
Lobb's having a good year, man. He's having a really good year.
He is having a good year, but he doesn't, I think he's better than McInerney, and he adds a little bit of another dimension to their forward line, obviously, just a bigger physical player. I mean, they've already got Danaher, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit more height in there, especially when he can swing into the ruck. The main thing I'd be worried about with that sort of trade is Fremantle replacing Lobb, because he has a lot more value than just his play right now. Obviously, their second forward is Taberner, and if your biggest forward is Taberner, you've got a problem. We've seen with Collingwood for years with Myercheck, and it just doesn't work at the end of the day. As good as Myercheck is and as good as Taberner is when he stays healthy, it just doesn't work. You really need a key forward, so they'd have to go about replacing him pretty quickly.
If I was them, though, I would straight up say to him, look, we're not going to send you to Brisbane because you just said that he would be in a swap and they would still have to give up their normal trade anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of thinking. You could get a much more better offer, I think, from GWS if you were to go that direction. I'm sure there's someone on GWS who would want to come. You could also try and get a second round pick. And Rory Lobb's $750K contract or whatever he's on, the ridiculous money, isn't completely looking that bad anymore, I don't think. So yeah, that's how I see it. I think it makes that makes a lot of sense as well. And yeah, I think he will probably get his way to GWS in the off season. But realistically, this footy off season is going to be probably the biggest we've had in a long time, because I think the last couple of off seasons have been, quite frankly, really boring. Pretty bad. There hasn't been really anything that's gone on. And mate, if Lachie Neale and Dusty both move this off season, it's already automatically the biggest off season in bloody forever.
Since Buddy,
realistically. And then you've still got great solid players like Rory Lobb that could be on the move.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, and